There we go. Oh, wow. Yay, technology.
Hey.
Good stuff. So, Coach, let's just get to it. You spent a lot of your Friday on the road. I know that you got the opportunity to chat with Caden Finley. You got the
Mhm.
opportunity to chat with Mr. Turntine. So, I'd love to hear about that. Let's start already with let's start with Caden. Right? Give us a little background on Caden, how he fits into the program.
Definitely. Let me start off by saying two exceptional young men, right? Very well spoken and great kids. But getting to meet Mr. Finley yesterday, it was awesome, right? Son of former Texas great Michael Finley. Caden had a line of coaches waiting to talk to him yesterday. Let me start by saying that I had to wait my turn, right? I thought it was funny. His coach said he might as well move his classes to his office because every 5 minutes he's calling them down. Hey, a new coach is here to see you. And so, but meeting Caden was awesome. Great young man. He's high on Texas. I think he fits into the mold. He has a great relationship with Coach Chris Jackson. Texas did an in-home visit with Caden recently. Coach Choice and Coach Jackson came down to see him. He loves the Texas staff. He loves what Texas, talks about as far as his role if he comes to Texas, as far as playing inside and outside receiver, using him in multiple ways, comparing him kind of to DeAndre Moore, how they use DeAndre Moore. So he sees a role. He sees, hey, I'm able to look at a guy at Texas already and say, that's where they see me, right? And so it was great to know how you'll be used at a school, because some of the schools tell you, oh, well, when you get here, we'll figure it out. But Texas
Right.
has laid out a detailed plan of, hey, this is who you'll follow, and this is what kind of role you'll play here. So I thought it was huge. I think it's also great that, when you have a dad who was great at the school there, you may want to follow his footsteps, but it was overall just a great visit with him.
Now this is something that's become a bit of a theme, certainly with Sark, and the idea of his transparency with recruits. And when you hear recruits talk about Sark, he's very upfront, he's very clear with what's going on. He doesn't want any mystery to be happening with the kids, and the kids get on campus and they're disappointed and they change. And can you speak a little bit of that? It just in your general sense when you're talking to kids, certainly throughout the state, about how they've responded to this level of recruiting.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important, and we've heard about this. I mean, that's been going on for years. Hey, we like you at this position. You get here, then you move a kid, right?
Right.
Mac Brown used to move a ton of kids. Oh, you're an athlete. You're going to play DB or you're going to play receiver, and so I think it's I think it's good for Coach Sark and his staff to be very transparent with kids. It's a position we see you at. This time we see you're going to play. They did it with Michael Terry III. They done it with Jonah Williams. Like, you're a safety. You want to play safety. You're going to play safety. Even with Kay Phillips. You saw yourself as a corner in Texas, like, yeah, you know what, you can play corner, right? And so I think it's very good by staff to be transparent with kids so they can actually see how they fit in the mold, and a kid can envision himself, progressing once he gets to Texas and that role. I think it's very good, important, because a kid will go back and tell another kid in the next recruiting class, no, they were straight up honest with me. They told me they'd give me a chance to play this position, and that's what they did.
And how specifically, and obviously we're talking about projecting here, but how difficult is it to, let me reframe that question. With Caden specifically, where do you see him slotting in Sark's offense?
I think he's a versatile receiver. He's a bigger receiver, right? So he's 6'1", 200 pounds, but he's a very muscular kid. But he has the ability to play outside receiver because he's big enough. He has enough speed. He can win the 50-50 balls, but he also can play the slot and get in and do the dirty work and block, like we say a Jordan Whittington, right?
Right.
Who will go across the middle, has a big enough body to go across the middle versus linebackers and safeties. And he's going to break tackles too because he's a big kid. He's built like a running back. Let me just
Yep.
say that.
Yeah.
So he's versatile. He can do it all. He doesn't have a slot. Say how play outside or play inside. He can do it both because he has the body size to play both, but he also has the athletic ability to play outside too.
Yeah. Well, I want to bring Eric in before we start talking about Mr. Turntine. So you got the opportunity to talk to him yesterday. Obviously, large human being, somebody we need to bring into the program. What was your experience with that? Tell us a little bit about what John was all about.
Yeah, another exceptional great kid. When I got there, coaches were lined up on the field. College coaches were lined up on the field. You had SMU there. You had Colorado there. You had Memphis there. They're helping give instructions as they were going through drills on the outside, looking at just John's footwork and things like that. And it was amazing to see, right? He's a kid who takes coaching exceptionally well. He's always listening, trying to learn, always trying to gain something. I think that's why him and Coach Kyle Flood have such a great relationship, because he wants to learn. He wants to get better. And so just seeing him yesterday work out, knowing they just finished winning the state championship a little over a month ago, they're already back to work. So I love that about John. But one thing I found out about John is he told me, and Eric just posted this article, he doesn't want to go far away from home. So it doesn't matter from all these schools from out of state. He said, I want to play around my family, people who have supported me in my entire life, which is really, really huge to hear that from a guy who can probably go to any school in America. But John's another great kid. Just he comes from a great family. Just a hard worker.
Eric, one of the things that Coach and I were talking about, and certainly with Turntine, kind of piggybacking off this staying in state thing, there seems to be now with, and I don't know whether we equate it to NIL, transfer portal, the accessibility that people have to information, but there seems to be a lot more transparency going on. Kids are just saying like, look, this is how I feel about it. And you feel a little bit more confident in it than you may have 6-8 years ago. Is that what you're experiencing?
I think kids are a little bit more mature now. That's probably part of it. Normally, man, it used to be, and the process starts so much earlier for them than it used to. 10 years ago, I would just be getting to know kids, and I would have to kind of shield them and protect them from what they were saying to people that they barely knew. You know, not everybody in the media is going to, and it's not our job to protect them, but they would say some things that might come back to haunt them that they're just being open and honest about. I had a couple kids that ended up in Texas. They were just way too loose, and they were just talking openly and honestly, but they weren't polished. I think the kids now are more polished. They know what they can say. And they used to be interviewed. John Turntine has been being interviewed for well over a year at this point.
Right.
And he's a sharp kid to begin with, so it's not like he was ever going to be one that was you'd have to watch out for. But and you know, the talking about staying in state, it's crazy. It kind of correlates to how attractive the in-state options are. And so the more attractive Texas is, all of a sudden they're like, you know what, maybe I should stay around my family. And I think A&M has some decent things going for it as well with the change to Elko. So. That's going to be one to watch. My biggest regret of this cycle already is I didn't put in a prediction for Turntine to Texas last January. But it's going to be interesting to see because the market for him is going to be crazy.
Do you have a comp that we love comps here? Okay. Really? Throwing him that high. That's great.
Maybe not as well. First of all, he might not play day one because he might not be as needed as Banks was to play day one.
That's fair.
One thing that stood out to me in the article that Charlie posted, it's a fantastic article. Go over to Inside Texas. I think it's $1 for a week. He talks about I'll play guard, you know, just to get him on the field. And you see a lot of it's happened quite a bit. You haven't seen it much at Texas, but there are plenty of schools where, you know, they'll take one of their higher rated kids, play him at guard for a year to get his feet wet between an experienced center, an experienced tackle. And then they'll put them on the outside. So Turntine's already said, just throw me out in the field. You know, right. I'll play guard for you. But yeah, he reminds me a lot of Banks from a personality standpoint. Obviously, a sharp kid, comes from a great family like Banks. There's a lot of good stuff going on. I'm not, you know, I don't want to compare him to Banks saying he could start day one, but he probably could if Texas needed him to.
Let me, I did. Yeah, I did say that, Gaddis, because I mean, it's a high standard. Okay. But again, I was just corrected. So thank you.
Well, so LC doesn't have the familiarity with these guys that I do, or that Charlie definitely with Turntine. Yeah, there's similar personalities, and that's why it's easy for me to make the comparison. It's and you know, obviously the athleticism and the build is there, but it's the personalities that match up as much as anything else for me. And you wouldn't know that unless you actually interact with them.
Well, and thank you. I appreciate you defending me, but I say stupid stuff sometimes. so that probably falls into that category of saying stupid stuff. I want to go to Roaster here, Coach. This is a question from him. Coach Dub, your running back ranking list was interesting. The order was a little different than I expected with the newer offers. Can you explain to folks what Roaster's talking about there?
Yeah, so I put out an article yesterday just kind of ranking my views. My rankings, not Texas rankings, so I just want to make that clear. I just watched film on a ton of kids the only kids that Texas had offered, right? And then I have my own rankings, what they do well and how they fit at Texas or why Texas wanted them. So for me, I just made my list. Even though guys have newer offers, it's just based on what I saw on film and how they would fit at Texas, and it's my thoughts on the kids. So it wasn't Texas rankings; it was totally on me, and just what I thought about the kids. But as far as new offers, those kids are great, right? They're offered by Texas. Coach Choice is very selective on who he offers. So that means that kid really, really can play. It's almost like Coach Sark is with quarterbacks. He knows what he wants. He knows what he sees and a running back and what he can do and how he can contribute at Texas. And so I just watched film and kind of just made my own rankings based on what I saw.
And were there which players, and specifically for you, really popped, really stood out?
I like the young kid Xavier Crowell,
Maybe-
man. I know he reclassified 2026, but man, he's like a big, powerful kid who can run. They all share similar traits, right? They're very explosive. They run through tackles. They have home run threat ability, right? Some more than others. And then you see that in the rankings. And then what I wrote, the first top three, they're kind of like do-it-all backs. They can catch at the backfield. They have great agility, lateral quickness, and make people miss in open space and make multiple people miss in space. So that's really what my rankings are kind of based on. And then as you go, some of the kids who say number 8, right? They're good, but maybe they can't make multiple people miss in the backfield. And I'm not comparing anybody to Bijan or Rojo or Jonathan Brooks. But when I envision a Texas back, that's what I'm looking for. What guys can do those things and fit in that mold. And that's how I base my rankings.
Well, let's stay with choice here a little bit, Eric. Obviously, I need to stop saying that. The the sign of a really good program is people come after your coaches, right? Coach Choice is a very good coach. I don't think there's any disputing that. The rumors around are with Dallas, right? It's local. What are you hearing anything from the team specifically, or is he just dipping his toes in the water, testing things out?
Yeah, we just posted on IT. That's why I was late. He's expected to interview with the Cowboys. He's Texas stole him from USC, and it was easy to do. He'd only been at USC for a week. He left Georgia Tech for USC, was there a week. Steve swooped in, took him from Lincoln. And it was easy to do because Choice likes the state of Texas. He wanted to be in Texas. He had familiarity of being in the state when he was with the Cowboys. And so, but when he got hired, the one thing we always heard about, watch out, Cowboys are his dream job. And, obviously the Jerry Jones Titanic thing kind of helped Texas the last couple of years, but now they've got a new coach. Jerry Jones is still the captain there, of course. And he's probably going to hit another iceberg at some point. But there's a sense of newness there with the new staff. They just hired the new offensive coordinator, Clayton Adams, yesterday, and their interest in Choice has always been there. It sounds like, I don't know if Jerry said, "Hey, Clayton, you're going to get this job, but we want you to go after Clayton," or if Clayton said, "Hey, I like this guy, Choice." Probably mutual decision there. But yeah, we expect him to interview, and if he gets the job, then Texas will be in the job market for a running backs coach, and that's a terrible time for the cycle. But we'll take it. We'll take it and see what happens. It's the life will go on for sure.
Coach was just talking about the specifics of the talent available to Choice, and this is one of those questions it's fun to kind of hypothesize about. But Roaster asks, when was the last time Choice had this many options? I mean, because it does seem like a relatively deep class. I'll start with you, Coach.
Coming into the fold, coming into last year and really paying attention to Texas recruiting, I think he always had a lot of choices, but he narrows down that list on what he really wants. I can just go back to speaking with Coach Choice a few years ago, the recruitment with Cedric Baxter, and then the running back who chose A&M. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Ruben Owens. Yeah, LC really sets you up here, man.
Yeah, Ruben Owens. I meet him at the Texas Coaches Clinic in San Antonio. He was like, everybody wants me to go after Ruben Owens, but I got a dog in Cedric Baxter. That's who I wanted, right?
Yep.
He believed and stood on the table for Cedric Baxter, even though everybody thought he should have went after Ruben Owens. And so it doesn't matter about the options. It's about what he likes and what he wants. He always has a ton of options. And kids are lined up to play for Coach Choice, but he just has who he wants and visions who can come play for him and the type of running back he wants. So, and I think you see that everybody he gets in the fold in his room always develops. And they all have the same kind of mentality. Tough, physical, don't go down on first contact, can do all things, step up and block. And if you can't do those things, you probably don't play as much as others, but he has a vision of what he wants. And so go back to just the Ruben Owens and Cedric Baxter thing. He wanted Cedric Baxter over Ruben Owens when everybody in America thought he should have went after Ruben Owens.
Yeah. He identifies guys early, and then he becomes a heat-seeking missile. That's the guy that he's just dead set on getting, and that's what happened with C.J. Baxter. He was never really worried about losing Baxter, despite everybody in the Southeast coming after him, even late. He just had his hooks in. Jarrett Gibson, he'd known that kid a long time. Being at Georgia Tech really helped him get to know a lot of people in the Southeast. So Jarrett Gibson. Then when they saw the film for Christian Clark, that recruitment was essentially over. He falls in love with the kid, and he fosters an extremely strong relationship in a hurry, and it's over with, really. We knew that Christian Clark's recruitment was over. We felt it was over before he even visited. Then he visited, and we knew it was over. Baxter, we were always confident. Jarrett, of course, always confident. He did a great job with James Simon, having to pivot away from Jordan Davison in the last cycle. He's a tremendous recruiter. This cycle, you could say Javian Osborne is that Cedric Baxter type or that Jarrett Gibson type, which, if he leaves to Dallas. But, I wouldn't get too worried if I'm a Texas fan. And I love Choice. And it's not just him as a recruiter. That's what everybody focuses on. He brings a ton of energy to practice. The players love him. It would be a loss if he takes the job. But there are a lot of good recruiters out there. And Texas can go get a big name if they truly want to. There was interest from a number of big names before Choice got the job. I actually laddered a couple names up, some big names that were interested. I'm going to see if they still have interest if this goes through. But life will go on, but we'll also have to celebrate his period in Texas because he did a lot of great work. But let's see what happens here. I am a little concerned just because of our information leading into it years ago. I was talking about the potential of him being the Cowboys coach the second he got hired at Texas. So this is definitely falling into my bias of having a concern.
Well, we want to thank everybody for being here. If you've got any questions, bring those in. We've got Coach and Eric with us today. I want to just take a quick moment to thank our sponsor, Luxe.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
Eric, this is I believe something that you wanted to comment on. Let me read this out for the folks that are driving to Piggly Wiggly. Cowboys hiring Adams from the Cardinals just got the Cardinals to hire away Ohio State's line coach. So we're starting to see the carousel.
Yeah, dominoes. You never know what's going to happen. And this is what, we get asked all December, January. Is Texas going to lose any coach? We don't know because we don't know what opening is going to come available. And something can seem innocent, a conference away or going to the NFL, and you don't think it affects you. And then all of a sudden you're blindsided. So had Mike McCarthy come back to the Cowboys, and I guess they were negotiating that he might have, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And now here, Ohio State's O-line coach goes to the Cardinals. I guess that's true. I haven't seen that myself. I'm sure Nathan's right. Now what happens with Tony Alford? Tony Alford's a running back coach at Ohio State, one of the best known running back coaches in the country. He just lost 2 guys to the NFL. Does he go to the Cardinals? Is that open? Is that job even open? I don't know. But now you wonder what happens with Tony Alford if anything becomes of that. So yeah, you just never know. And you think we're out. You think we're fully in the off season and all that. This is brand new. Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, it was, a big week for Texas, in spite of it being in the offseason. We had a new recruit coming in from Ohio State. We've got Hero Cano. Am I pronouncing that correct?
I just assume it's Canoe, but man, every time I just started getting down a lot of foreign names back in the day, like, when guys from Nigeria started making their way, I started to learn that. And then the Paulies started coming in when Texas got the new staff. And those names are impossible. They're making syllables that you don't know are there. So I don't know.
That's fair. It's totally fair. He is German born, which may contribute to that in some ways. But this is the 3rd defensive tackle that we've brought in during this transfer cycle, obviously with Cole Brevard and Travis Shaw coming in. Mm-hmm. What kind of a get is this, Coach? I know you talked about this a little bit this week.
Yeah, I like Canoe for a lot of things. First, he grew up playing soccer. That means he has great footwork, and he has some agility and he has some conditioning. Because to play soccer, I couldn't do it. And kudos to everybody who plays soccer because you're constantly running up and down the field. But that says a lot about what the kid can be. But I think with having 2 years left to play, I think he can come here and still be molded. I think he can still come here and be developed and get to the level where he matches his athletic ability. And you see some things on tape. And Boy posted even yesterday of what he can do, what he can be. And so I think he has a long, a ways to go. But with Coach Kenny Baker, man, he's shown what he can do once a guy gets in the fold and gets in his room. If they're willing to listen and understand, hey, this is what your role is, and become an expert at that role, I think he'd be a great player at Texas. I think a lot of great football is ahead for him because he has so much of athletic ability. He has so much athletic ability and good traits that I think he can be a really good player.
Eric, you see him adding some weight with Becton?
Yeah. I think they'll try to get him up to 315. He's kind of where Vernon Broughton was a few years ago, about 305 or so. Lots of length like Vernon as well. I think he'll be. I think there's room to add more weight. But man, what I'm reminded of is just the brutal reality of college football. Ohio State has 3 years of time invested in that guy.
Yeah,
They got 200 snaps out of him, and just as they're about to need 400, 450 snaps out of him, he's out the door to a school that needs 400, 450 snaps out of him. So
yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but that's because Texas is the rabbit and it's got the gun, but they're not always going to have the gun on that. But yeah, I like it. Now he's going to be the number 3 or 4 D tackle, I think, barring a major spring. Maybe he could emerge as a starter, and they'll need to go get one more from the portal. Hearing great things about Justice Terry. Everybody loves Alex January. We'll wait to see what we hear about Sharma, Charles, Melvin Hills, of course. So it's things are looking up. They need another body, an experienced body, and right now I feel pretty confident that it's not going to be a weakness. Now let's see if they can turn it into a plus.
Staying on that side of the ball, did you guys? I'm assuming you did. You saw the Baron Sorrell social media stuff going around. He was playing up against the LSU. What was this? Emory Jones, the LSU tackle. And I mean, it's just that kid's spine was turned into a like a hairpin turn. I didn't know you could literally compress your spine that much, but he seems to be having a good Senior Bowl practice. We had Alfred Collins, Makuba, Helm, and Broughton were all invited.
Yeah, everybody dropped out. Everybody's beat up. Broughton. Now, and Broughton, I mean, Barron's playing through some aches as well. But I think he had confidence in what he's going to do. This is actually a good setting for him because he's not always. He had to play bigger than he actually is. You see, he got there and he weighed 250 pounds. I think he was probably a little above 260 in August. But this is a very good chance for him to show that he can get after the passer more than we probably saw at Texas. And I think that you line him up as more of a true outside linebacker, like maybe what we've seen Osai do in Cincinnati. And I think there's going to be more sack totals, more pressure numbers for him. He's showing that his stock is only going to go up. And I'll tell you what, man, as good of a week as he's having right now, wait till they interview him at the combine. There are going to be GMs and coaches wanting to adopt him. He's a great dude, hard worker, somebody you want in your locker room. Sky's the limit for that guy. Always been an IT favorite just because of what we've always heard about him behind the scenes. We love the good dudes. We love the hard workers. Guys, not everybody gets the same acclaim as Roschon Johnson, but there are some guys that maybe aren't to that standard, but they're in that mold.
Yeah. Staying with, again, the news of the week, Arch Manning has signed a new amphetamine deal where he is going to be garnering a lot. So the media attention I love about this is the fact that we've got Manning and, let's be honest, we've got Hill, right? Either side of the ball probably going to be two of the most acclaimed players coming into this. And Simmons too, absolutely. That's a good shout.
Simmons is going to get more than Hill probably just because he's an edge rusher over an off-ball linebacker, yeah.
And we're starting to see it. So this is the, at least the way that I saw this week, especially with the different interviews with ESPN and some of the social media outlets. This is Arch now really stepping into the spotlight of being the quarterback at the University of Texas. He's taking over his reign, as it were. I don't know if you guys saw it. I thought he did a good job. I mean, this guy is clearly been around people that understand media. So he's very, very good at it. But I was just curious what you guys thought of it.
I think it's great. And he is stepping into his role. Like, look, I always compare Texas to being the professional team of college football to me. You're in Austin, nobody else is around. You're the pro team. And so I loved it. I thought it was perfect, right? He's elevated to his spot. With Red Bull, what does it say? It gives you wings, like they're about to soar. Texas is about to soar to maybe new heights, and so that's what I thought when I saw a great match with Red Bull and Texas. Man, it's look, Archer's going to get his just because he got a last name, but the kid works for this. You can see it. Everybody wants to get behind that name. I would if I was working in the marketing and media side of that. I mean, because you want to attach a name to somebody you think is really going to take off, but he already has the foundation with the name from his uncles and granddad. So. Kudos to Red Bull for doing so because they see the potential where it's going to grow.
Yeah, John Bianco doesn't have to worry when Arch is at the microphone. Arch isn't going to say anything that they're going to have to retract or run interference on. What I love it is the offseason is only starting, and you can already see Aggie fans and OU fans head spin. I want Aggie putting way too much pressure on this kid, and I'm like, this guy was not complaining when Johnny Manziel was on my TV every 5 minutes. Christmas of 2012, I'm in the Woodlands Mall, and everybody's wearing A&M stuff, brand new stuff. Give me a break, man. They're gonna have to deal with it. They're gonna have to put their head down and trudge through this offseason. And a lot of A&M fans still don't get it. I'm seeing it on my Twitter. They really have no idea how good this guy's going to be. They don't know that he's the version 3 of the family. They don't know that he's an exceptional athlete and he's very tough. On top of having the Manning quarterback intelligence, and he's got his grandfather's gunslingerness more so than his uncles had. Which that's going to get him in trouble at times too. But it's going to be fun. It's never going to be boring with that kid. He's got like a Joe Burrow personality on top of it, so he's not quite like Eli or Peyton. It's going to be a whole different thing. I don't think Texas fans even really know what they're in for, but A&M fans certainly don't know what they're in for.
Sticking with a famous last name, this name isn't necessarily famous, but I think it's, as you've pointed out, Eric, maybe one that might be just important to you on a personal level, and that's Sorensen. It's a nice Danish Viking name. Are you on what, your 7th rewatch of The Last Kingdom? You've watched what, over 92 hours of that show?
I just did it. I watched it back to back, and I'm going through withdrawals. I just sat there in front of a blank TV because I know I can't watch it again. I'm trying to get my wife into it, see if she wants to watch it. But yeah, I'm depressed. I don't know what to do. I watched TV from about 9 to 11.
I can't do that. I can't, like, after I've seen it. I can't just go straight back in. It's like kids watching cartoons. Like
I'm like my kid watching some YouTube monster truck show. Yeah, I know. I'm ready to watch it again. I got to get the wife watching it. It has everything. You should go watch The Last Kingdom. It's great. But yeah, Luke Sorensen. Luke is a very good tight end name. And then Sorensen is a very good, we're more Swedish Vikings on this end, not the Danish Vikings, but you'll take it any way you can get it in college football. Very good tight end. Jeff Banks has to cast a wider net. I think they're kind of still figuring out what they're going to do at the position. There's not a lot of in-state options. Last year they had Nick Townsend right here in Houston. That guy is not available. So they're looking around. You can find tight ends in Southern California. Anaheim Servite, home of Greg Cicero from back in the day. Orange County, kind of familiar territory to Sark and Banks. So that guy's really good, and he shows want to at the point of attack. The kid wants to play. The kid wants to block, and he's a good athlete as a receiver. So I'm interested. That kid, he's a 3-star, probably should be a 4-star just based on traits, size, athleticism. But yeah, hopefully something more materializes. But I have no idea. I couldn't take a stab in the dark of who would be the tight end taking this class. It's just wide open right now. So they just need more options. Luke Sorensen is a brand new one.
We have some of these questions, and I know that some of these may be a little bit of a review, but this is an interesting take on this. And I'm going to go to UT Parking here. And I think I know where you're coming with this, Eric. But UT Parking says, just saw the news on Choice. For those of you just coming in, he's interviewing at the Dallas Cowboys. I'm glad he's getting the recognition, but I bet we pay him what it takes. Now, this is something I think is sometimes a misconception about the University of Texas, that we are just going to throw money at a problem. The thing that you just brought up, Eric, which I think is really maybe not as subtle as it should be, but it certainly is there are a lot of really good running back coaches out there. And that is in no way taking anything away from Choice, who should be absolutely celebrated with his time here at Texas if he were to go. But having that availability and having the brand, as it were, in the position that it is now, takes a little bit of pressure off of Texas should Choice decide to go down this road.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, because if you look at the payroll, I don't really care what these guys make, but I have to be somewhat cognizant of it. I think he's still making around 600, which, for the rest of the staff, that's not very much. But when you look at running back duties, they don't have the biggest workload. Now, don't get me wrong. He earns every single penny. He gets a lot of acclaim for the recruiting he does for his position, but he's always hounding schools in the deep Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia, parts of Florida. And he's forwarding names of guys. Hey, you guys need to check this guy out. It might be a DN. It's not even his side of the ball. So he's the stuff with. I've got nothing but respect for him. But at the same time, yeah, I think I don't want to say the position is fungible more so than others. But yeah, we're not talking about replacing Kyle Flood on O-line coach, where it's like, oh man, you've got a giant room you have to manage. Cohesion is a lot harder to come by, and so it's not that type of loss. At the same time, I hope they keep him. And if it does come down to $100,000, a couple $100,000, I know what I would do. But I'm not Texas, but there's a couple guys on that staff, especially based on this past year, that they're probably due. Just that's just the nature of the business.
One of the things that sparked my thought, and this is generally part of the show where I say something I'm not supposed to.
He froze up on us.
Yeah, he did freeze.
Hey, good. That's God intervening. He was definitely about to say something that he shouldn't
I was just
say.
about to say that. Oh man, he froze up at the right time.
I wrote an article on this one. Quinn walks so Arch can run. I think Quinn took some slings and arrows while the program was building. Look what he signed up for, a team that was 5-7. The offensive line was still coming into place. They lacked the weapons outside of Xavier Worthy. The program is in just so much better shape, than when he arrived. He's back. Charlie Chaplin, what's up, man?
You guys.
Arch has it a lot better because he came after Quinn. Had Arch gone before Quinn would have it a lot better because he came after Arch. It's just, Quinn's just not in charge of when his parents, did the deed. Arch had a little bit better luck on that one.
Are you suggesting that Arch had some influence on that?
No, I'm just saying that the Mannings are chosen and highly favored people.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. All right, guys, do get your questions in. We are going to be wrapping this up. If you have any questions, get those in right now. We are offering a special. Please go to InsideTexas.com. You get 1 week for $1 American. You can't, honestly, you can't beat that. Great content that's going on there. These off seasons, obviously, we have less football, right? But that doesn't mean that the news stops. So please join us there if you can. I want to thank Coach. I want to thank Eric. I want to thank certainly my internet service provider for being an absolute star today and making this, let's face it, the show of my dreams.